The four Gospels have always been regarded as historically accurate and authoritative within the teaching of the Church. And there are very good reasons why that is the case. The first reason is probably because the Gospels go back to the teaching of the Apostles. The Apostles were from the very beginning in the Church seen as foundational for what the Church believed. And the problem with a historical event is the event has gone the moment it has happened. And the only thing how you can access an historical event is by means of the witness of people who have been present. Unless there are some sort of historical remains of a battle or something, but that's not the case with Jesus. So we need to access the historical event of Jesus teaching, preaching, healing, dying on the cross and rising again from testimony of witnesses, from eyewitnesses. And from the very beginning, the Church has been very clear that the Gospels go back to the Apostles. The Apostles are the foundation of the Church. Now, Paul at one point writes, the Church is built on the foundation of the Apostles and Prophets. And when John in Revelation sees the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven, then he sees that the walls of the city are built on 12 foundations, and the names of the 12 apostles are on each of those foundations. So there is something foundational about the apostles in which they have brought the teaching of Jesus to the Church. And they were appointed to do so, very specifically by the Lord Jesus. So that is the sort of transmissional history, transmissional argument why the Gospels are historical. But when you look at the details within the Gospels, you can see that there are some tiny differences between them, which go back to the point that, hey, here we have various people who know about one another's teaching, but at the same time give a different summary of the teaching they have been exposed to for 3.5 years. It is that multiple voices, which are not exactly identical, which actually lead to a sort of reinforcing one another. We are not talking about one voice with a couple of derivative voices underneath, which are completely dependent on the first voice. No, we have a much more complex situation where the teaching was done by several apostles, each independent eyewitnesses, who taught the churches in similar way, that must have been agreed by one way or the other, and who then started to write down that teaching, even knowing that others had also written down. So there's a complex of oral history, shared oral history, namely teaching, and at the same time an awareness of what the others had written as well. So it is the mix of literary influence and shared oral teaching that has resulted in the current Gospels.